All right, so imagine this. You're prepping for a job interview, but you've got this AI teammate helping you out.
Oh, wow.
It's fine-tuning your resume, giving you feedback on your practice answers. That's what RoleCatcher can do. And that's what we're diving into today.
Sounds pretty cool.
We're using RoleCatcher's resources to get you ready for a corporate training manager interview.
Okay.
It's a role that's all about shaping how a company learns and grows.
It is a fascinating field and definitely one that's changing so rapidly these days.
Yeah, for sure. Before we jump into the actual interview questions, though,
Okay.
let's paint a picture of what this role is really like. I was looking at RoleCatcher's career guide, and it had some interesting insights about the pros and cons.
Oh, really?
Like high earning potential,
Nice.
always a plus.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it also mentioned the possibility of some long hours.
Yeah, that's true.
You get to see employees develop new skills,
Yeah.
advance their careers, which is incredibly rewarding. But you might also face some resistance to change from some folks.
Yeah, that's part of the challenge, right? It's interesting because it really does require a blend of strategic thinking, creativity, and a knack for navigating different personalities.
Yeah, for sure. So thinking about those pros and cons, what stands out to you as particularly important for someone considering this career path?
I'd say resilience is key. You'll need to be comfortable with change, able to adapt your approaches, and sometimes you'll even need to advocate for the value of training when others might not see it as a priority.
Yeah, that's a great point. And speaking of adapting, the career guide also highlighted some major industry trends, like the shift towards online and virtual training, and this growing emphasis on personalized learning.
That's one of the most exciting developments, I think. Companies are realizing that one-size-fits-all training just simply doesn't cut it.
Right.
Tailoring that learning experience to individual needs not only makes it more engaging, but it also leads to better results.
Totally. So thinking about the interview, how can someone demonstrate that they're ahead of the curve when it comes to these trends?
Well, it's all about showing, not just telling. So if you've got experience with e-learning platforms or you've designed personalized learning paths in the past, those are fantastic examples to bring up.
Yeah.
It demonstrates that you understand where the industry is headed and that you're ready to embrace those changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where RoleCatcher's AI can really give you an edge. I was blown away by how it analyzes job descriptions
Right.
to identify the skills you might be missing on your resume. It's like having a secret weapon to help you get past those automated screening systems.
It's like cracking the code of the applicant tracking system,
Yes.
which can feel like a black hole sometimes. The AI gives your resume a score
Oh.
based on how well it matches the job requirements.
Yeah.
So you know exactly where to focus your efforts.
Love that.
Oh.
It takes the guesswork out of it.
It's so motivating to see your score improve as you make those changes.
Yeah, it is.
And if you want to level up even further, you can try their Copilot AI subscription.
Which helps you tailor your cover letters and even gives you AI feedback on your practice interview answers.
Oh, wow. It's like having a personal coach in your corner, helping you refine your responses and highlight your strengths.
Okay. Are you ready to tackle some of those interview questions?
I think so. Let's do it.
All right. I've got RoleCatcher's interview guide pulled up.
Out.
And it's got some really interesting sample questions that are very likely to come up in a corporate training manager interview.
All right.
Question number 1. How do you measure the success of a corporate training program?
Okay.
What are they really trying to understand with this question?
I think they want to see if you understand that training isn't just about delivering information.
Right.
It's about achieving tangible results for the business.
Uh-huh.
Can you demonstrate that you can measure the impact of your programs and show a return on investment?
So it's about going beyond just saying, yeah, people learn stuff.
Exactly. You need to be able to quantify your success with specific metrics. Think about things like, did the training lead to increased productivity? Did it reduce error rates? Did it improve customer satisfaction scores?
Okay.
These are the kinds of results that speak volumes to hiring managers.
And I noticed that the career guide also mentions employee retention as a key indicator of successful training.
Oh, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. If employees are learning and growing, they're more likely to stay with the company.
Absolutely. It all ties back to the value that training brings to the organization.
Now, I bet they might follow up with something like, can you give me an example of a time when you used data to measure the effectiveness of a training program and what you learned from it?
That's a classic follow-up. They're pushing you to go beyond generalities and provide a concrete example that showcases your analytical skills.
Okay. On to question number 2. How do you design a training program that meets the needs of different learning styles?
Okay.
What's the key insight here?
This one's all about demonstrating that you understand that people learn in different ways and that you can tailor your approach accordingly. It's not one size fits all.
So should you just rattle off a list of learning styles? Like visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic learners.
Well, it's good to mention that you're aware of those different styles,
Okay.
but don't just list them. Give concrete examples of how you would adapt your training methods for each.
Okay.
Maybe for visual learners, you'd incorporate more diagrams and multimedia elements. For auditory learners, you might focus on group discussions and lectures. And for kinesthetic learners,
Right.
you could include more hands-on activities and simulations.
I like that. Show them you can put that knowledge into practice. And here's a potential follow-up. Can you describe a time when you had to adjust your training approach for a specific individual or group? How did you determine what adjustments were needed?
They're looking for evidence of your adaptability and your ability to assess and respond to different learning needs.
This is really getting me thinking about how to tailor my answers to highlight those skills. It's so helpful to have these insights.
It's all about preparation and having a clear understanding of what the interviewers are looking for. And speaking of preparation, let's move on to question number 3.
Sounds good. Let's hear it.
Question number 3 is, how do you develop and maintain relationships with external training vendors? This one might seem a bit operational, but it's crucial in this role.
Right, because you're not always going to be creating all the training materials yourself. You'll need to collaborate with external partners. So what are they looking for with this question? What should we be sure to highlight?
They want to see that you can manage relationships and resources effectively. Think about your process for finding and evaluating potential vendors. Do you have a system for assessing their experience, their expertise, their cost effectiveness?
Okay.
And once you've selected a vendor, how do you build and maintain a strong relationship with them?
So it's about being organized, being strategic, and being a good communicator.
Exactly. Highlight your ability to set clear expectations, provide regular feedback, and collaborate effectively to achieve the desired outcomes.
I'm already imagining a follow-up question here. They might ask, have you ever had a conflict with a vendor? How did you resolve it?
Ooh, that's a great one. Conflict resolution is a valuable skill in any role, but especially in a management position.
Wow.
We really went deep on those interview questions.
We did. It's clear that being a corporate training manager requires a diverse set of skills.
For sure. Everything from instructional design to data analysis to leadership.
Absolutely. And even though we focus heavily on those more technical skills, there's another layer that's just as important.
You're going to say soft skills.
Yeah, things like communication and collaboration.
Absolutely. Those soft skills are what really bring those technical skills to life.
Yeah. So how do you showcase those soft skills effectively in an interview? It's not always easy to demonstrate things like passion or enthusiasm when you're sitting in a formal setting.
I think it's all about storytelling.
Storytelling.
Yes. Instead of just listing your accomplishments, share anecdotes that bring those skills to life. Talk about a time when you faced a challenge in designing a training program, how you overcame it, and what you learned from the experience.
So show, don't tell.
Exactly. And remember, enthusiasm is contagious. If you're genuinely excited about the work you've done and the impact you've made, that will shine through in your stories.
That makes sense. And I think that ties back to something we were discussing earlier, connecting your experience to the company's goals. How do you do that in a way that feels authentic and not forced?
Research is key. Before the interview, spend some time digging into the company's website, their annual report, any recent news articles you can find.
Okay.
What are their key initiatives? What challenges are they facing? Then think about how your skills and experience can help them address those things.
So if they're a tech company focused on innovation, you could talk about your experience in developing training programs for emerging technologies.
Perfect example. Or if they're a retail company struggling with customer satisfaction, you could highlight your success in creating programs that enhance customer service skills.
That's a great way to show them that you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for this job.
Exactly, and that you've given thought to how you can contribute to their specific needs.
This makes me think of something else from RoleCatcher's Career Guide, the importance of continuous learning. The field of corporate training is always evolving, so it's not enough to just rely on what you've done in the past. How can you demonstrate that you're committed to staying ahead of the curve?
We touched on a few ways earlier, attending conferences, reading industry publications, taking online courses. But you can also talk about your willingness to experiment with new technologies and approaches.
Like those virtual reality training programs we were talking about earlier. It sounds like they have the potential to be so immersive and engaging.
Exactly. Show them you're not afraid to embrace innovation and push the boundaries of what's possible in training.
It's about being a lifelong learner.
Absolutely. And that ties back to those key competencies listed in the career guide, things like learning strategies, instructing, speaking, active learning, and monitoring. It's not just about having these skills, it's about being able to articulate how you've used them effectively in real-world situations.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's all about connecting the dots between those broad competencies and your specific experiences.
Right, and those competency-based interview questions we discussed earlier can really help you do that. Instead of just saying, I'm a good communicator, you can share a story about a time when you had to deliver difficult feedback to a training instructor in a way that was constructive and respectful.
Okay, I want to shift gears for a moment and talk about something that can be a bit awkward to navigate in an interview: salary expectations. How do you approach that topic without selling yourself short or scaring them off?
First and foremost, do your research. Websites like Glassdoor or Salary.com are great resources for understanding the average salary range for corporate training managers in your area and with your level of experience.
So you've got a range in mind. Now, when do you bring it up? Do you wait for them to ask, or do you take the initiative?
It's generally best to let the interviewer lead the conversation. They usually will, especially if they're seriously considering you as a candidate.
What if they press you for a number early on in the process, before you've even had a chance to learn more about the role?
You can politely deflect by saying something like, I'd love to learn more about the responsibilities and expectations of the role before discussing salary. I'm confident we can find a number that works for both of us.
That feels much more diplomatic than just throwing out a number right away.
It is. And once they do ask about your expectations, be confident and clear in stating your range. Don't undersell yourself, but also be realistic and know your worth.
Any other tips for that salary conversation? It can feel so nerve-wracking.
Remember, it's a negotiation. Be prepared to discuss the value you bring to the company and be open to compromise. And if they offer you a number that's below your range, don't be afraid to counter.
This has been so helpful. We've covered so much ground, from understanding the role itself, to crafting winning answers, to tough interview questions, to navigating those tricky salary conversations.
But there's one more crucial element to discuss that can really make or break your chances of landing the job.
I have a feeling you're going to say asking great questions. Everyone knows you should have questions for the interviewer, but I'm curious to hear why you think it's so important.
It shows you're engaged, you're curious, and you've done your homework. It also gives you a chance to gather information to help you decide if this is truly the right role and the right company for you.
So it's a two-way street. You're not just trying to impress them, you're also trying to assess if this is a good fit for you.
Exactly. And the quality of your questions can reveal a lot about your understanding of the role in the company.
Okay, so let's get specific. What are some examples of questions that go beyond the basic? What's the company culture like?
Ask about their specific training needs and challenges. For example, you could say, what are some key areas where you're looking to enhance employee skills in the coming year? Or what are some of the biggest obstacles you've faced in implementing training programs in the past?
I like those.
Yeah,
They're tailored to the role, and they show that you've been thinking critically about the company's needs.
exactly. You can also ask about the company's approach to employee development and career growth. For instance, you could ask, what opportunities are there for professional development within the training team? Or how does the company support employees in pursuing certifications or advanced degrees?
Those are great questions. They show that you're thinking long-term and that you're invested in your own growth.
And they might even spark a conversation about potential career paths within the company.
That would be a fantastic outcome. Any other tips for asking great questions?
Write them down beforehand, but don't be afraid to deviate from your script if something interesting comes up during the conversation. And be sure to listen attentively to their answers. Active listening is key.
Speaking of listening, I'm all ears for what you have to say about RoleCatcher's resources for navigating your career path more broadly.
Their Career Compass tool is a fantastic resource for exploring different career paths and identifying the skills and experience you need to reach your goals. It's also a great way to stay informed about industry trends and job market insights.
It's like having a GPS for your career.
Exactly. And don't forget about their extensive library of career guides, skill guides, and interview guides. They've got resources for thousands of different jobs, so no matter what path you're on, they've got you covered.
It sounds like RoleCatcher is a one-stop shop for all things career-related.
It really is.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the role of a corporate training manager, how to prepare for an interview, how to leverage AI to give you an edge, and how to navigate your career path more broadly. What are your final thoughts for our listener? What's the one key takeaway you want them to walk away with?
I'd say the most important thing is to remember that the world of corporate training is constantly evolving. Technology is changing the way we learn, globalization is impacting the workplace, and the very definition of work is shifting. The role of a corporate training manager is going to become even more crucial in the years to come. So embrace those challenges, be a lifelong learner, and never stop growing.
That's a fantastic message. And I think it speaks to the power of this deep dive. We've not only provided our listener with the tools to prepare for a specific interview, but we've also given them a glimpse into the future of this exciting and impactful field.
That was our goal.
So to our listener, best of luck in your job search. We're confident that with the knowledge and insights you've gained from this deep dive, you're well on your way to landing that dream job as a corporate training manager.
I wholeheartedly agree. Go out there and make a difference.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the world of corporate training managers. Thanks for joining us.
So we covered those tricky salary conversations.
We did. And I think it's time to highlight one more crucial element that can really make or break your chances of landing the job.
Okay. I'm listening.
It's all about asking great questions.
Yeah. Asking questions is so important.
Everyone says you should have questions for the interviewer.
Right.
But why is it so important?
Well, it goes beyond just showing that you're prepared. Asking thoughtful questions demonstrates that you're engaged, you're curious, and you've really done your homework. It also allows you to gather valuable information to help you decide if this is truly the right role and the right company for you.
So it's a two-way street. You're not just trying to impress them. You're also trying to assess if this is a good fit for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the quality of your questions can reveal a lot about your understanding of the role in the company.
Okay, so let's get specific. What are some examples of questions that go beyond the basic, what's the company culture like?
Instead of asking about culture in general, try to delve into specific aspects that are important to you. For example, you could ask, what are some of the company's initiatives around professional development and learning?
Yeah.
Or, how does the company support work-life balance for its employees?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
They're personal, and they show that you've given some thought to what matters to you in a workplace.
Exactly. And you can also ask questions that are directly related to the role and the company's goals.
Right.
For example, you could say, what are some key areas where you're looking to enhance employee skills in the coming year? Or what are some of the biggest obstacles you've faced in implementing training programs in the past?
Those are really good. They show that you've been thinking critically about the company's needs and how you can contribute.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask about their vision for the future of training within the company. That shows that you're thinking long-term and you're interested in their strategic direction.
So much good stuff here. Any final tips for asking great questions?
Definitely write them down beforehand, but don't be afraid to deviate from your script if something interesting comes up during the conversation. And of course, be sure to listen attentively to their answers. Active listening is just as important as asking the right questions.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we mentioned earlier, RoleCatcher's resources for navigating your career path more broadly.
Okay.
We touched on their Career Compass tool, but I'd love to hear you expand on that a bit.
Yeah, the Career Compass is a fantastic resource for exploring different career paths and identifying the skills and experience you need to reach your goals. It's like having a personalized roadmap for your career journey.
And it's not just for people who are just starting out, right?
Not at all. It's a valuable tool for anyone who is looking to make a career transition or simply explore different options within their field.
Okay.
It can help you identify potential career paths you might not have even considered before.
That's so cool. And what about their other resources? We mentioned their library of career guides, skill guides, and interview guides.
Oh, those guides are a treasure trove of information. They cover a wide range of industries and job roles, providing insights into job responsibilities, required skills, and tips for acing the interview process. They're a great way to supplement your research and gain a deeper understanding of different career paths.
It sounds like RoleCatcher really has everything you need to navigate your career journey, from exploring your options to landing that dream job.
They've really thought of everything.
Okay, so to wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with one final thought-provoking question.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the skills and qualities that are essential for success as a corporate training manager, but the world of work is constantly evolving.
Right.
So my question is this: how do you think the role of a corporate training manager will evolve in the next 5 years? What skills will be most in demand?
That's a great question to ponder. I think we'll see a continued emphasis on technology-driven learning, personalized learning experiences, and data-driven decision-making. The ability to adapt to new technologies, embrace innovation, and demonstrate a strong understanding of adult learning principles will be more critical than ever.
Those are some great insights to consider. And if our listener wants to explore those ideas further, they can always turn to RoleCatcher's vast resources.
Absolutely. RoleCatcher is a great place to start.
Well, that concludes our deep dive into the world of corporate training managers. We hope this episode has been informative and empowering for our listener.
We've enjoyed sharing our insights, and we wish you all the best in your career journey.
And remember, with the right preparation and a growth mindset, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. That's it for today's episode. Thanks for joining us.